The year is 1683, and the Ottoman Empire is closing in on Europe. It is the Battle of Vienna, and the Austrians, who are under siege by the Ottomans, are desperately waiting for assistance. The Austrians' prayers would be answered in the form of King Sobieski from Poland and his winged hussars. In one of the largest cavalry charges of all time, King Sobieski took his winged hussars and valiantly charged the Ottoman Empire. As the Poles reached the Ottoman, they dismounted, took off all their armor until they were wearing nothing but their banana hammocks, fell to the ground, went into the guard, and dismantled the Ottoman Empire. Many a triangle choke was applied that day, I tell you. And thus it would be noted that MMA would be considered the greatest martial art of all time. And yet, this would not be the last time MMA would save the world. Tales of the bravery of MMA have been told in almost every major battle in world history. From Thermopylae to Carthage to Normandy, there have always been guys in banana hammocks, tattooed up with shaved heads, saving the world. Now, whether this story is true or just sarcasm, that's up to history to decide. But what I can tell you is what I truly do understand about MMA. What MMA is a wildly popular sport filled with world-class athletes. These athletes are extremely skilled, they're very tough, and yes, I have to say they can defend themselves in the street. You have to say that because they get really offended if you don't. Even though they're very good martial artists, unfortunately, the tales of MMA tend to get exaggerated just a touch. Even though I've met very fine people and very good martial artists in MMA, there are also a very lot of young men who have a lot to prove and have very low self-esteem. These guys tend to be really dangerous, and they also tend to really over-exaggerate the style. You also have to keep in mind there are a lot of promoters who are trying to grow their business, and by doing that, they tend to exaggerate even more. You tend to hear a lot of crazy things from MMA, such as it's the greatest martial art that's ever existed. This is often accompanied by the mantra, "prove it in the ring," where you hear these guys tell us how mettled they are and how steely they are, and only those who get in the ring have proven their martial art virtue. Again, I'm not discounting their toughness, but anyone who utters these words really has no historical perspective. The difference between today's martial arts and martial arts of the past is it wasn't proven in the ring, it was proven on the battlefield. The problem with our perspective is most Americans never actually see real combat, much less hand-to-hand combat or combat with steel weapons. The reality of the old days is that there was constant warfare. You were always under the threat of invasion, just about anywhere you were in the world. This led to groups of village warriors and professional standing warriors whose job it was to do combat all the time. That's all they did. And the ramifications for losing weren't losing a trophy or your title, it was losing your life and the life of your family. Our society truly underestimates the level of violence and horror and brutality that most of us will never ever see. Thousands of years of combat led to incredible skill that most of us will never see again. For us to believe that we're in the league with most of these warriors in today's martial arts is ludicrous. I do understand there are exceptions. There are still elite units of military and bodyguards and police officers that may have dealt with this level of violence, but for the majority of us, that's just not the case. The reality is, the majority of martial artists today will never be as good as the traditional martial artists of old, because we just don't have the opportunity to experience that bloodshed. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it is the reality of it. And because we never see this level of violence anymore, what we're left with is what we see. And what we see is sport martial arts on TV. And because that's what people see, and that's all they see, they believe that that's what martial arts is. Now, I'm not strictly picking on MMA. Let me tell you, most styles, when they're trying to sell you something, tend to exaggerate quite a bit about what they are and what they've achieved. What I really wish MMA and most other martial arts would do would just tell the truth about what they are and be happy about what they are. MMA is popular enough and credible enough to where they don't need to exaggerate anymore. MMA is a really good sport. It's popular worldwide. Again, the guys are very tough and they can fight. There's no need to give the nonsense about them being the greatest martial arts of all time when they've never seen a battlefield and they never will. Just be happy with what you are. I really believe if most people in martial arts would just be happy and honest about what they do, they'd be much happier with their work and they would enjoy their martial arts a lot more. This way they wouldn't need to have so much ego, they wouldn't have to puff themselves up, and they wouldn't have to get into so many confrontations and stupid arguments with people about things that don't matter. It should be like everything else you do in life. Be humble, enjoy what you do, and help others. If we could all just do that, there'd be a lot more enjoyment in your martial arts and a heck of a lot less aggravation. This has been Bill Koenig for Straight Circle Martial Arts. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again next time.